So we can start. Welcome everyone to this talk. Happy to see you here. Also very happy to see that the color of the paintings of the wall matches well with the color of my presentation. So I'm really glad with it. And before we start, let's have together a bigger vision about our careers. In tech, we tend to touch a lot of things. We tend to touch tech, but also management, communication, and also the product, which is the business that we are running. And we do this in a continuous manner and in parallel. We don't just use tech for tech. We do these things either directly or indirectly. But at some point, we do this very routinely, but at some point, we need to stop, think, and to experiment. And this is very true, not only for tech, but also for management, like testing new processes, new ways of communications and stuff. But today we'll be focusing on the tech side of things. And why? Because in tech we have a lot of things going on, new frameworks, new libraries, and new stuff, and we need to experiment these stuff. Why? Mainly because we don't want to miss opportunities of growth. And this is the main thing and the main point of doing experiments. However, life is not green grass and roses all the time. And at some point, when you test something, let's say Compose, you tested it, you experimented with it, you find that it's great, you are convinced of this. But when you share your findings with the leadership inside of your company, they don't share the same vision that you have. At this point, you will get frustration instead of the growth that you were looking for. And the reason behind this, it's not that visible from the first eyesight. You experimented with something, and then instead of having that growth, you had this frustration. And if experimenting is the abstraction, its implementation, one of its implementations would be proof of concept projects. And this is what we are going to talk about today. And why? Because I remember when I started my career, the first proof of concept project that I was doing, I was very excited about it. I was very happy about it, but I found a little to no guide on how to make effective proof of concept projects in tech, and I was kind of lost. And also, I was afraid because if I get to play with this new technology and and I'm not able to convince our leadership to use it, my colleagues will kick my ass and just blame me for it. So I had this all the way in my mind. This is why today I will try to build your mindset about proof of concept project with this missing guide that we will see together. And of course, I will not miss the introduction. I am Oussama Hafferssas. I am Android platform engineer in Trainline, and you may know it. Trainline. We are a company. We are a product that help you get make the world better place by helping you booking your trains using multiple companies in Europe and behind. And we are a lot of people in tech. More than 20 engineers in the Android side of things, and yes, we do release weekly, and we do tests from unit tests, UI tests, end-to-end tests, and all kind of tests. So, before we start the guide, let's just understand what we are doing. When we say PoC, you may say, okay, a PoC is proof of concept. So it's about proving that something works. This is very simple, but also this is very misleading. And the thing that you need to pay attention to is the context. So you need to prove that something works for a specific context. It's your context. So let's take an example, Compose. You played with Compose and you find that, okay, Compose is very good. Let's say, okay, Compose is like a charm. I will just keep this argument and tell the leadership about it, and it will not pragmatic argument. It's hype-driven arguments, and it will not help you convince the leadership. instead, you should be using this mindset. What are the needs that Compose are fulfilling, or any other technology? And this is very crucial to have a relevant proof of concept project. And also, you need to keep in mind the goals. Why you are experimenting at the first time with Compose or any other technology. The first thing that might be possible is to experiment, to demonstrate if an idea is feasible. And this is very true, like for companies when they create stuff, innovate stuff. Let's say for Compose, it was the Google team. When they experimented the first time with emitting UI as functions. This was not the case for Android. So this was a concept at some point, and they did some proof of concept around it, and then they started the Compose stuff. This is one goal. And the second goal that might be your case and my case and our case, a lot of companies, is to evaluate a technology and its benefits and its limits. And this would be the case of the majority, I think, of us. Without further ado, let's start the guide. And the first step in the guide is to understand the project's needs. Just like we saw before, in order to evaluate things correctly or to communicate effectively about your findings, you know to start from the needs of your project. Maybe the developers' needs, maybe you need to note everything, the speed, their needs in terms of speed, flexibility, and the consistent UI stuff. You need to note everything. This is an example, but maybe you have different needs and your team have different needs, but you need to be aware of these needs before going to that PoC and start experimenting. This is key. However, you should also keep in mind that it's not only about software engineers and developers. It's better to have a greater vision and bigger vision about the whole project. You keep in mind your design team, your Q&A engineers team. For instance, maybe your designers are having a difficult time making the design system making the design system render correctly on the different versions of Android. This is their need to have a design system that is consistent in the different version of Android. And you should note this need. It's out of the scope of software engineering stuff, but it will impact, and it is a need that is there, and at some point you will try to fulfill it as a software engineer. The thing that can help you a lot to track those needs is to track frustrations. Wherever there is frustration, there is an unfulfilled need. This is a concept coming from something called nonviolent communications. It's not about violence, but it said that violence is a symptom of frustration, and frustration is just a symptom of an unfulfilled need. So this mindset will help you figure and find easily where the needs are. And this should be the first step of our proof of concept project. We didn't start experimenting. Now we just gathered the needs of the team. And what would be the second step? You would be very happy about it, which is making actually the proof of concept project. And you get your hands dirty and the stuff, and you start like experimenting with Compose and things. However, you should do this in a scientific mindset. And why or how is just by trying to avoid the missing the point by taking like hyper-driven arguments, and instead have a scientific mindset when you are doing the proof of concept project. And the idea is simple. Let's say you started with Compose, you are experimenting with it. The first thing you would do is to read the documentation. Maybe the documentation of the non-material design, how to do a composable for non-material design. Okay, you have read the documentation, you are good. And then what you will start to do, start thinking and doing your hypothesis, which is, okay, Google says that by using Compose, making non-material views will be easier. This is the hypothesis. What you do about this hypothesis is to experiment and to prove it, even right or wrong. This is where the experiment is and what the experiment should be doing. It's in that sense. So let's say, okay, you started doing that button with the Compose stuff. Okay, you experimented with it. Okay, you are very happy with it. I know so. But during this experiment, you need to measure things. Measure maybe build times, maybe how much time you took to learn this stuff. This is very important for leadership later for the end of for our proof of concept. Okay, maybe sometimes you need to measure performance and things like this. This is very important. And the step just after this is to write everything down. You write everything. Don't the thing that you have liked, the thing that you don't like, the thing that goes in the way that it will help you prove that something is good for you, or also the case, the other case. And this should be a continuous process. So you do this, and then you take another thing in the Compose, like documentation. You build your hypothesis, you experiment with it, you write down your findings, and you continue doing this. And this would be the meat steak in our burger. And yes, we are making a burger on the right side. However, burgers comes in many shapes, and you can have like 2 slices of meat or vegan steaks or wherever. But it depends on your budget, how much you paid for the burger. That's it. And this applies also for our proof of concept project, because it will impact the number of iterations that you are experimenting. Maybe you will just touch the material stuff in Compose. Maybe you have budget to experiment with non-material and building a design system. Maybe you have budget and, I don't know, maybe 20 days to experiment with a lot of things and go into the internal things of Compose. It depends on the budget that you have, and you need to keep this in mind. And the thing that will help you with this is to start with the happy path. Always, when experimenting, don't start with the complicated stuff. No. Start with the happy path, the thing that make it easier to get up and running, and then try to target the needs that you have. This is very crucial. Expand later. And also, it would be better to proofread your experiment by your colleagues. And this is usually the case for larger proof of concept projects when it takes a lot of time. It's better to share your findings during the experiment with your colleagues. Having a second pair of eyes is very crucial. Maybe it will help you explore something else very important in your project, and it will also help you with verifying that you are not missing the point. Now we finish the experimentation. Let's go to step 3. And step 3, it will go back to step 1, which is the project needs. Why? Because after experimenting, we should prove something. We should make this projection on the project needs. So we have found a lot of things. Now we need to project on the needs that we have noted in the first time. And this is very, very crucial for your proof of concept project. So, and you should be very transparent about it. If there are some needs that are fulfilled with maybe Compose, you say, okay, Compose is good for these things. Maybe Compose will need, I don't know, we will be obliged to do this frequent Kotlin migrations, whereas we are just working on UI. You should write anything. This is very good for transparency, and this is very good for trust, because you will gain the trust of your colleagues and also the leadership. And And this would be the last, maybe the last part of the burger. But yeah, it's not really yet. Sorry, I know that you're hungry. I know, me too. And the one last thing would be the takeaways. At some point, okay, you're finished. You did all of this. You will not keep this for yourself. You will share everything with the team. And at this point, you need to keep a lot of things in mind. The first thing is it's better to have a technical document when you have written all your findings. It should be easier because you noted everything. A sample project, when you touch code, is very good to share your findings with your colleagues. But something very important is to do a talk about it, because people in your company don't have the time to read the doc. This is a fact. It's better to have this direct conversation in a talk, and it's better because you can target your leadership with your presentation. I will help you with this. Something called future reality trees. Let's say, for instance, for Jetpack Compose, you come here to your leadership and say, okay, if we use Jetpack Compose, it is going to help us get better UI components in terms of quality. And it is easier to do and build UI components, so it's better time to market. And with these together, at the end is the green square, the green circle, we will have happier clients and stakeholders. However, you need to tell them how to be there, how to use Compose. This is what it needs to use Compose, having this unidirectional flow data and invest the time to learn Compose and to update the developer tools. This will help them understand what you are doing with the PoC and your findings, and also having that map of actions that can help them have the budget for things and taking action. And navigate the complexity of the tech stuff. This would be the topping of our burger. And it's finally there, ready for you. Just keep this in mind. Wherever you do a proof of concept project, this burger, keep it with you. And I really thank you for having me today.